I think Islam hates us.
They have done nothing except wreak havoc and terror for our faith and our religion.
When we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad.
Foundations of society are fragile. We must be the shepherds of our own civilization.
Anyone answers either yes or no without making necessary distinctions, both are not telling the truth. They're lying.
Father, we pray that your word will become a hammer that breaks rocks into pieces. That you will raise up in this nation pulpits and prophets that will call the nation back to repentance.
Will you distance yourself from those who think differently, or will you join us at the table and talk about what is really important? This is the Maida Initiative, conversation without compromise.
James.
Hi, Safe.
How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking, sir. I'm ready for any question you have.
Okay, perfect. First, give me some of your backstory. Which part of Iraq are you from? How long have you been living in the U.S. now?
I'm born and raised in the capital, which is Baghdad, as you know. After working with the coalition from 2005 till 2014, I did earn a program called Special Immigrant Visa, SIV. So I came here after 3 years working with the U.S. Army translator and 5 years with the State Department. I came here 9 of September 2014.
Okay, well, Ahlan wa sahlan. Tell me what you know about Qassem Soleimani and what's kind of just happened now in Iraq.
As you know, he's internationally wanted because of what happened in the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. He was involved in that. The U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. He was involved in that.
Recently, what happened is because of the attack that happened in Al-Qaim for that U.S. contractor, and he asked his followers to do a big demonstration in front of the U.S. Embassy. Supposed to be peacefully, but it did escalate to vandalize the outside perimeter. They did broke the ballistic glasses windows, and they did burn the fence. So as a reaction, and this is just my point of view, as a reaction from the U.S. government, they didn't want to Benghazi 2 happening. So they were they had an effective reaction towards what happened about the U.S. Embassy attack.
Tell me a little bit more about who Qassem Soleimani is, as far as what his role has been in Iraq over the last few years.
So Qassem Soleimani, he's an Iranian general. He belongs to Al-Quds Brigade, which is one of the dirty hand of Iran, besides the Iran army. Qassem Soleimani, he is the guy who is determined in Iraq who's going to be the minister, who's going to be the prime minister, without giving him your loyalty and obedience. You cannot have any political position with the Iraqi government, especially if you want to represent the Shia part in the government. Like even the prime minister, he's supposed to be represent the Sunni sector, but without Soleimani blessing, he couldn't have that position.
So right now in Iraq, one thing I saw happening on the news is there was a lot of conflation between the peaceful protests and then what happened at the U.S. Embassy. Who are those different groups?
Different groups led by different motivations. You have the peaceful protesters. They were just peacefully asking the basic human rights. They are outside the green zone. Well, inside the green zone, commander recently has been hired by Qassem Soleimani to protect the green zone which is actually not to protect, it's to control the green zone entrance. So when they did that peaceful uprising in front of the U.S. Embassy, that was because Iran, through Qassem Soleimani, through the guy he just hired to protect the green zone, they could enter the green zone. Because even the peaceful protesters, they even couldn't cross the other side of Baghdad to protest in the front of the green zone. So there's kind of like a two circles of protection. And as you know, that Hezbollah brigade, they have the privilege to reach the U.S. embassy because the guy who's protecting the green zone, he's belongs to them. He's loyal to Hezbollah.
So I guess my question to you right now, as an Iraqi, there's kind of Iraq's kind of caught between two major powers, right? You've got Iran on the one side, and then the U.S. on the other side. How do you feel about how what seems like the sort of, I guess, what's the worst deal for you? What are your hopes for how that all happens?
I mean, I'm not going to say because I did work with the coalition for like more than 10 years. I'm saying that if the Iraqis wanted to be like a really free country, let's do it step by step. Number one, get Iran, which it has a negative, at the same time, active control on the Iraqi government. I mean, U.S., from what I see, they can control nothing on the Iraqi government. But if you're gonna be like a really free country, let's do it step by step. Let's get Iran control out of Iraq, and let's have a new prime minister. He can balance between Iraq and Iran in Iraq. The priority right now is get Iran followers of Iraq. Then we're gonna sit and we're gonna check on. We're gonna follow the political protocol about each embassy and its role in Iraq. Are they gonna be helpful? Definitely, why not? They're gonna be having like they're gonna support the unpeaceful protesters. If they're gonna determine which minister he's gonna be in charge of which ministry, that's not gonna be the case with Iran, because right now this is the case with Iran. They basically control Baghdad and the south of the country. They have al-Basra, they have the ports, they have the religious big shrine in Karbala and Najaf. They control every single piece of the south of Iraq. They shut down the U.S. consulate in Basra after the attack that did happen because it's unsafe and unstable, because Iran has the majority of that sector of the country in Iraq.
So if Iran has that much control over Iraq,
okay,
how can Iraq actually break free from that kind of control?
If the Iraqis, they want to do that, not the government, not the religious people, not the who say they are religious leaders, not the spiritual leaders, not al-Sadr, not everybody. It's the Iraqi people, and it's gonna take some time, brother. It's gonna take some time, because look at it this way: Iraq was controlled by Saddam with an iron fist for like almost 4 decades. So leadership, it's not exist.
Right.
That's why you're gonna see besides, with all due respect, the ignorant, uneducated people. They are not educated, so they can distinguish between a leader, a good leader, and a bad leader. All the educated, most, I'm not gonna say most, I'm not gonna say all, most the educated people, they either have been kidnapped and killed, or they left the country, or they put on a side to do nothing.
So
it belongs Go ahead.
So, as somebody who's worked for the coalition forces, how do you hope? What kind of ally do you hope America is going to be to Iraq going forward? Because so far it's almost like we've had some over involvement, and then we've been like an absentee father that says, "Hey, good luck, guys," and hasn't been around. So, what do you hope the path forward is for America's involvement in Iraq?
Put a couple of camps of what do you call it? The camps that just like they have the troops in Germany and Japan and Italy. Put one in Iraq. I know it's going to be really hard to bring the boots back in Iraq, but unfortunately, it was a quick move from Obama administration to remove all the U.S. embassy army presence from the country. It's like you had somebody was abusive control. He was controlling a sector for like 40 years, almost 40 years, and between a night and a day, they have no control. They have no experience to control and to move the country forward.
So it's just the withdrawals kind of create a bit of a power vacuum.
A big effect in what happened in Syria. So it's almost like a big half a circle between Iran, you have Turkey, and you have Syria. And of course, they have their channels with the Kurdish government.
So one thing everyone's talking about right now in America, or you're in America too, is I'm in Seattle. You're in real America, in Texas, and
okay.
A lot of people talking about right now is this is the start of the Third World War. This is the start of a war with Iran. How likely do you think a war with Iran is, from everything you know about the situation on the ground?
I think it's right now with the president, he's about to do the election. I think he's going to be really careful how to approach this. It's not like he's going to be another George Bush. He's like, okay, let's attack the country for the weapon of mass destruction. And after almost 3 decades or 2 decades and a half, there was no weapon of mass destruction. So I think Trump, he's really careful to approach it, especially when he's willing to re-elect. And again, Iran is going to have a big factor of that war if it's going to be happening. If they're going to attack the U.S. embassy again, I think it's going to be like a hit by hit. You're going to do something bad, I'm going to do something. I'm going to have reaction. Is going to have a reaction because again, they don't want to get that Benghazi incident happening again.
You think there's going to be some more escalation, but you don't think it will hit the point of full-scale war with Iran at this point?
No, not now. Definitely not now.
So, what do you think the Iranians want as far as war? Do you think they want a war? What are their goals out of all this?
The Iranian government or people?
Government.
Government, they have been brainwashed about the U.S. is the enemy number one in the world, and they don't have a good intention towards Iraq, U.S., Arab Gulf countries. They wanted to get control because, just for example, they have a good control in Bahrain about what happened. They have a good control in what's happened right now in Yemen. So what they're trying to do is keep the country busy, or actually export the problem out of the country. As a Iranian people, to be honest, I don't know. Not because I'm Iraqi and we have like a 8 years war between Iran and Iraq. I don't see them. They are much different from their government.
I think most young Iranians are very disillusioned with their government currently. It's just a case of whether their government's going to be able to hold on to power long enough to drive forward in the kind of insanity that's going on right now. So first things that you think needs to happen for the country in general is to push out the Iranian influence. And then
Yes.
once Iran is gone, what do you think needs to happen in Iraq as a whole?
Iraq has to elect a balanced, educated, uninfluenced government, specifically the prime minister. That would be number two. Number three, and sit on a big table with whatever government they want to rebuild Iraq, invest in Iraq, because we are not less than the Arab Gulf countries. We have the resources. It's about how to use those resources, because it has been abused for the last almost like 2 decades. From 2003, every government, they're going to come to the power, they're going to elect themselves, they're going to brainwash their followers for a while they are making their money and getting all the Iraqi money out of the country, because they know it's a matter of time they will get exposed, and their reality is not to serve the Iraqi government, the people. It's about to steal from the Iraqi people their money.
Well, talking about the prime minister, do you know where the word prime minister comes from? The word comes from the words of Jesus.
Yes.
So he says, whoever wants to become greatest must first become the servant of all. So Iraq right now needs leaders who are going to be putting the needs of the people above their own needs so that the country itself can prosper.
Yes, you can have that. You can have, just like people when they're going to serve inside any church, they serve for free. They don't get money instead of their service to the church. So if you're going to bring people to serve the country without giving them like almost $30,000 a month per month and doing nothing, you just get taking orders from Iran. Somebody is going to come here. He said, you know what? I don't need the money. I need my country. I need my people, and rebuild my country to be just like any other country. At least, just like the north of Iraq, they have their own government. They are also corrupted, but not at the same percentage in the Iraqi government. They have their own president, they have their own prime minister, they have their own ministers, and they are corrupted. They're corrupted, but the percentage is not like the percentage in the Iraqi prime minister, president, and the other sections of the government.
Okay, and then kind of wrap up with this. As for Christians living in America and Americans in general, how can people in this country better serve the people of Iraq, either Iraqis who are here or people still in Iraq? How can normal Americans or British people or wherever they live help the people of Iraq?
Maybe the American people, they can emphasize the need of the U.S. presence in Iraq. Maybe the Congress, maybe they will vote to bring a couple of boots on the ground again. That's what I think they only can do. It's just like what happened when they did the kind of like ask the people about what do you think about the Iraqi freedom Operation Iraqi Freedom. It's just like, hey, situation is bad. Let's bring those troops in the country for a while. Let's at least remove Iran influence, then observe what's going on, then train the new generation how to control the country, then observe how they conduct their duty, and they're going to be happy. They will say, you know what, that's it. We did our part. But again, it depends on the Iraqi people, because you can train me for whatever skills you want me to get for like days, months, years. If it's not in my brain, if I don't like it, I will not do it. I think now it's more important to let the Iraqi regain their love and trust towards their country. Because I'm not going to say they don't love their country, because look at it this way. You cannot have 8 hours of sleep without the power off. It's going to be hot. They cannot sleep. It's going to be hot. You're going to have no water. It's going to be roads. I mean, basic infrastructure needs, it's not exist. Safety is not exist, which is number one. If you're going to be leaving your house, imagine yourself, you're going to leave your house every day. You're going to hug your kids every day. This is going to be the last time you're going to see them. Every time you leave the house to go to work, to go to you are in the army, you're working with a coalition. That's the fear that you live with it on a daily basis. They look at you. I mean, they were a price on our heads because we were working with the U.S. Embassy or with the U.S. Army. A lot of people, they have been kidnapped. A lot of people, they have been tortured. A lot of people, they have been threatened, killed. They left the country because they have been threatened. It needs a lot of time to get that trust and love to the country back again. It needs a lot of time to the Iraqis to get that more experience to say, no, we got this, we can control the country.
So while America may have its part to play, what you're saying here is ultimately Iraq itself needs to determine its own future, and Iraqis need to work on that. And then America might be able to help, but we can't fix the problems.
Yes, look at, I mean, for the closest example, look at the Egyptian, what they did. They sit inside, they close the road, and they change in a short term 2 or 3 presidents. That's what I mean by it's the people willing, not external help, not external influence. They did it by themselves. Nobody helped them. But here's the big factor that they did that, because the army, it took the natural position by not to take any side. The army did stable the country by not taking any side. They did the election. The other part win the election. And they are under the government control. And they don't have external influences, just like Iran has in Iraq. And they don't have that militia. So literally, we have outlaws under the name of militia. They are part of the Iraqi prime minister. What about the army? Why we have militia when we have army? I mean, it's just like Lebanon. Lebanon, every sector of the country, they have their own small militia, and they control this part of Beirut, literally like between a street and another street. That's why in Lebanon it's really, really, really hard, because it's official. Hezbollah is officially has a separate resources, has a lot of people they support him, and has a lot of big sector of the country he is controlled. So now this is what happens. You have the south of Iraq is controlled by the militia and Iran. You have the middle, which is a conflict between Iran, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Kuwait, Bahrain. And you have the north of the country. It's controlled by the Kurdish government. So to bring all those and put them like in one basket peacefully is going to take a lot of time.
Absolutely. And I think right now the future of the country is on people who are going to refuse to be a part of corruption, who are going to be brave and honest, and not forget their culture. That Iraq has contributed to human history since the beginning of civilization, and I hope that it continues to exist and bless the world, and that bright days are ahead.
Yeah, it's just if we're just gonna put our country first in our decisions, I think we're gonna be moving forward. If I'm gonna be an Iraqi and I'm gonna say, hey, I support the Iranian influence in the country, we are not gonna move forward. We're just gonna be like in a big circle.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your experience with me. And I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a great life in this country, and that you're able to be a blessing to this country and your home country.
Thank you very much.